Welcome to the Whitetail Advantage Podcast with your host, Brett Bovin. Thank you for tuning in and enjoy the show.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Whitetail Advantage Podcast. And I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted. My stupid dog will not stop barking. Of course, we had to get a freaking German little golden retriever puppy. Oh, that dog just needs to clip its vocal cords. Anyways, welcome to the show. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. It's the Whitetail Advantage Podcast. I'm your host, Brett Bovin. And now I'm just so distracted. I don't even know where I was going to go with the intro. Let's see here. What points do we have here? It's episode 79. Let's see what else we want to talk about here. If you use the code GP10, GP10, you get 10% discount at Gilly Puck. So make sure you go check them out. And with that being said, I like to run a quick little video for them. So use code GP10, get 10% discount on the products. Also check out MAGNUS Broadheads and also go check out Grizz Media. I'm working with them now. So we're extremely excited to start that process with them. I do ask those, the listener, the audience out there, to put your quarter in the slot machine. And what do I mean by that is to help share the show. I strongly believe, I say it over and over again, hunting is a dying sport, a dying lifestyle. And we need your help to share the show to get the word out about hunting. And with everyone that's out there that's been doing it, I greatly appreciate it. Everyone here on the team greatly appreciates it. So I can't say thank you enough. And I'm so sorry. This stupid dog, man, he won't stop barking. It's been like 15 minutes nonstop. I don't know how he's not tired of whatever. Anyways, make sure to check us out at Waypoint TV as well. And we do have some exciting news. Probably announce it on tomorrow's show. We want to make sure we get all the contracts signed before we announce everything. Anyways, it's episode 79. We are in Mississippi week, but took a little detour and we headed back up north to Iowa. And we got a great guy on the show. So let's give a virtual round of applause for our guest tonight, Daniel. What's up, brother?
How's it going?
Good. How about you, man?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on the show, man. And I'm just going to apologize. I've said it a couple of times now. This stupid dog of mine will not stop barking, and I hear just little pieces of it. It's like like way down out there. And oh my gosh, dogs that bark, man. I swear, I can't stand it.
No worries. My 11-month-old chocolate lab's probably going to be joining the fun soon. So
yeah,
she's been quiet way too long. It's inevitable.
It's going to happen here soon. Well, brother, for everyone that doesn't know, you can give a little background about yourself.
Yeah, so as established, my name is Daniel. I'm Daniel Johnston. I'm from Iowa. I have a brand called Veganless. So we're, another outdoor hunting channel, and kind of took a different route. Instead of being another one of those copy-paste channels of, look, here's the perfection, we're experts, so on. We are normal guys, group of friends, and we go out there, we hunt, we trial and error, fail, keep moving forward. I think it's big to show both the positives and the fails in the hunting world, because I think we've kind of set unrealistic expectations for some new hunters where they hop on YouTube, watch a 5-10 minute clip of just the highlight and see a 200-inch deer, harvested, and set themselves up with high expectations. So I think it's important showing, the whole process and whatnot. So yeah, it's a little bit about me. I'm an IT systems engineer during the day, and then on the side hustle, hunting grind outside of that.
Yeah, man, I agree with you completely. I'm not gonna lie, I know everything? No. And I went like 2 years without seeing a freaking deer, man. It just happens, and that's deer hunting. That's especially if you're doing with a bow as well, but hunting in general, you're not going to see. And I hate TikTok and I hate these shorts and reels where they just show you, even on these ads on TV, where they show you this like scent stuff or whatever. And it's like, oh, yeah. All right. And it gets your mind like, ooh, you use this brand, you're going to shoot this world-class deer. No, I ain't going to fucking happen, man. You're going to go out there like for 2 weeks at a time, and the only thing you might see is a doe.
Yeah. People don't understand that when they watch that 10, even 20-minute video on YouTube where this guy harvests this, 160, 170, 80, whatever, this trophy deer, you see this 20 minutes, but what you don't see is the countless weeks or, months of season that go by where they're out there, don't see anything, so on, no opportunities. And it's kind of, in a way, has to be done to an extent, because no one's going to watch, all of that time of nothing happening. So it makes sense. Like, they're doing it for a reason, but just set your expectations, only competing with yourself, no one else.
I like that quote right there. Especially when you see like people. I had this debate with my dad when I was like 18, and I was like, we were talking about shooting I seen this kid, he was 12 years here in the state of Michigan way back then, and he shot like this 170-inch deer. I was like, holy crap, I wish I could get that lucky. But now looking back on it, and I was like, would I want to shoot that giant deer at that age? No, only because now I'm going to be chasing something bigger and better.
Yeah, yes, but no.
Exactly. I'm glad that little spike that I shot when I was my very first deer, because it's like, I'm just like chucking away, man. Keep chucking away.
Yeah, if it makes you happy, do it. Like, as long as you are being ethical, legal, and you're having fun, I don't give a shit what you shoot. That's not me advocating saying go shoot every spike that you possibly find. I'm not saying that. I'm saying is set your own goals, follow your own goals, and do what makes you happy. I'm tired of seeing the social media posts that I know this isn't the biggest, but, and then your harvest picture, just delete that. If you're happy for it, just post it. Who cares? There goes my puppy.
I can hear him a little bit. Yeah. If your heart is beating out of your chest, and it's like you're gonna be like proud about it. Let me say this, if you could put your head to bed and you were proud of that deer, fuck everyone else, man.
If it gets you excited, who cares?
Yeah. And
no one else is buying your tag or putting in the work for you. Like, do what makes you happy.
That's perfect. Yeah. And the hunting community, I think we're all best friends, but at the same time, we all like hate each other at the same time, because it's like, all right, awesome deer, but why'd you shoot that deer? So we're always like up front. It's like we're almost like two-faced type in a way when I say that.
Are you saying you hate me?
No.
Watching you, man.
I'm watching you too.
It'd be your own people sometimes.
Like we all like, oh, that's another hunter. All right, I'm gonna bond with him instantly. We're gonna be best friends now. But at the same time, you go see another hunter and you go criticize them for the deer that they shot. Like, first off, who the fuck are you? Two,
we have enough opposition as a whole that we don't need to be fighting with each other.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's beating
like, hold each other accountable if someone's poaching or being non-ethical, any of that. That's fair game, but don't be dragging or beating each other down because you have different opportunities. Like, maybe you have all the time in the world to go hunt every evening, every morning, every weekend, whatever. But maybe Jim over here works a demanding shift or even multiple jobs, and maybe he can go out like 2 or 3 weekends the whole season, and he harvests a spike or like a 120 or whatever. Like, you're kind of in different worlds, right? Like,
I know for me, working in law enforcement, it was extremely hard for me to get the time to go out hunting, because when I first started, I was at the bottom of the food chain. So seniority, I couldn't get time off. And everyone I worked with, they took the time off to go hunting. So I can only have 2 days to go hunt, and I didn't give two shits what I saw. I was putting it on the ground and putting it in the freezer.
Yep. Exactly.
And I relate the hunting community as the law enforcement community. And what I mean by that is the hunting community and the law enforcement community overall it's a great community,
Mhm.
and we hate the ones that make it the bad. So when you see that bad
A
apple,
few bad apples, yeah.
exactly, that makes things bigger, and it
Mhm.
brings a bad light on them. And it's like that's just one little piece.
Mhm.
Whatever, all the hunters, we don't like the poachers. All the
Mhm.
cops, we don't like the bad cops that do that stuff.
Mhm.
That's just how I relate the two of them.
Yeah, I think that's a good analogy or comparison.
Yeah. Well, Daniel, so you're out there in the land of the giants.
Mhm.
Okay, you don't
So
have to
they
rub
say.
them. Yeah,
So
I
they
know.
say.
Yeah, so they say. But either way, I'm
Mhm.
still jealous because you still have. First off, when I was covering Iowa that week, I found out that your gun season though starts later in the year, outside of the rut.
Mhm. Yep. Yep. Bow hunting for the rut.
I'm so jealous. Not gonna lie.
It's I that's probably a big reason why we have bigger deer, honestly. Because imagine, like, sure, a lot of mature deer get harvested during bow season, but let's picture bow season, you have to get a lot of more personal or intimate, I guess, not intimate, but like down eye to eye level, like more
Yeah,
primal with the animals, and you have to outsmart them. You have to get up within 40, 50 yards or however far. But rifle season, we can use 350 Legends, 35 well, an assortment of rifles, and 200 yards, three, you know, the range is just
it-
drastically different.
right.
And I think it's a whole different game. Like, I don't think it's that hard to get within 300, 200 yards. But I feel like when you get in that 100-yard range, it drastically increases complexity or things that could go wrong. So I think it would be very impactful on the population of mature deer and deer in general if that were earlier in the season. So I think it's great that it's just archery only for that. And then it kind of spills over into muzzleloader. But
Yeah. And I think your state really cares about the hunting, the
Mhm,
hunters, and they really care about the deer population, the hunting
mhm,
and fishing all together. I feel like your state is really like the apex of like, all right, they're setting the example, and everyone kind of needs to learn what they're doing and modify their own stuff.
mhm,
And granted, each state's going to do their own thing because of
mhm.
how each state's differently laid out.
And
I get
different
that.
populations and habitat and yeah.
Exactly, but you guys are setting a blueprint in Iowa that's like, you know what? What can we do that's they're doing and incorporate
Mhm.
into our state?
Yeah, I think obviously DNR and all of that gets a hard rap because, what law enforcement doesn't, to be blunt. Um, but I think overall they really do a pretty decent job given, the cards that they're dealt and everything.
Right. I know here in Michigan, they don't give two shits about us. It's literally a saying where it goes, you can yell at a wall or watch paint dry. It's
Mhm,
the same thing. It's never going to change. And heck, I'm going to say this quick little point here. When we have Ted Nugent come into town a couple years ago talking about baiting,
mhm,
and he's trying to lift it, and they don't want to listen to Ted Nugent, no matter what to say, we're never going to be fucking right, or they're never going to listen to
mhm,
us if
mhm.
he can't get them to change their mind.
Yeah,
And
yeah, he's got a little weight on his name.
exactly. So I basically just there's so many things I'd love to do differently, but we're not here in Michigan. We're going to talk about Iowa here. So
Mhm.
what are you a public land, private land, bow, gun?
I do a
What
mix of both. So, um, I grew up hunting and I primarily done shotgun growing up. I did a little bit of bow, nothing major. Like I bow fished and stuff a decent amount, but hunting wise, dabbled. Then last year, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna get back into archery and back into it, and picked up a bow and shot from spring on, and just got back in the groove because I took this kind of break while I got life back together and moved to the city, all that fun stuff, and came back to it. So we have 80 acres that have been in the family since like the 40s, and it's the thick super thick forest and, cover ground. And then it's surrounded by ag fields. And there's kind of a draw right down the middle, and then it fingers out with different ditches and all that. So we have just like the ideal bedding and cover for them, and they branch out into the ag fields. So last year I decided to start working on, the farm, kind of building habitat and everything. And there's an old hay field that like crossing had washed out and stuff. It was overgrown with cedars and everything. So last year, with minimal equipment, because, going back to the intro, just a normal guy, not some rich deer farmer dude with millions of dollars in equipment and tractors, So there's actually a clip out there that's pretty funny. My buddy Robbie and I, we, dove into this project trying to at least clear, a little plot out. And there's a clip of us winching a 0-turn lawnmower across a ditch with a side-by-side to get it over there. We, sprayed, we mowed it all down, and we found an old harrow like down in the woods that was, claimed by nature, drug it around, burnt, everything, and planted clover. So I believe the plot came out to right at like a 1/4 acre. So where my main stand was, I think the farthest shooting distance was 40 yards diagonal across of it. So it was perfect for bow. And really been focusing on that. This spring expanded. So went and pulled all of the overgrown cedars out. So the plot's going to be roughly 1.5 acres. And then going to have, a clover side of it down here in this finger, and then like a summer, or like an early season, not summer, and then like a late season, kind of split it into 3 different little crop areas, and then have a blind in the middle that can go back and forth,
nice.
or shoot across of it. So that's the project for this year, and we've been kind of working on that. There should be some video to come from that, but I guess that's a drawn out answer of I do private. But with that being said, my farm is like 2 hours from me. So not exactly something easy to run to after work or anything. It's a special trip for the weekend. So I will mix in public hunting. And then I also do urban season. So you pass like a archery test, like a proficiency shooting test, and then you have an urban location in town for population control. And then it kind of depends on the zone, but 3 to 5 does gets you a buck tag for the next year for in town. So do that, and then
can you say that again? Because first off, you don't hear about urban hunting in Iowa. I mean, you might hear it in like
the bigger cities.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure. Some of the smaller cities have done it too. I don't know where all does it, but yeah. So I think 20 or 30 yards. I think you shoot 18 arrows basically into a paper plate size target for your proficiency test. Like it's a pretty easy test. You do that. And then I think the stipulations are you're supposed to be elevated. So I just saddle hunt for it. And I actually hunt a cemetery. So there's like the cemetery, and then there's like a wood plot like up the hill above it. And that's what I hunted last year. It was
really
kind of surreal. Like I'm not superstitious or anything like that, but it was different, putting a shot on a deer and it running into the cemetery and passing. It was a little odd, but
wow.
Yeah. Yep. So urban season, depending, I think 5 guarantees you a buck tag for the next season, and then 3 gets you like a lotto chance.
Like points?
Yeah, essentially. Like, yeah, it doesn't necessarily work like that, but yeah, for simplicity, yeah. So yeah, you get antlerless tags, and then, if you get the threshold to get a buck tag for the next year, you get a urban buck, which we all know that's kind of a goal.
A new thing.
Mm-hmm.
And how long have you been doing? Has that been?
I just started that last year, but it's been going on forever, man.
In Iowa?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess I'm just
I
never
couldn't,
really.
yeah, I couldn't tell you when it began, but I want to say like it's been going on for like 20 plus years.
Wow.
Don't quote me for certain, but it's been a while. I know that.
Everyone out there listening, Daniel says it was happening for 20 plus years. So
Mhm.
if you fact check him, he's the one
Back
that
in
said
my
it,
day.
not me. No, but like I said, in Iowa, you really don't think of urban hunting.
Oh man, though, like it's a
But
population control because they are so, populated in town.
yeah,
So,
I mean, so I went to Western Michigan University, and one kid, when I was getting ready to graduate college, near the engineering campus, it was about a mile down the road from the main campus, and one kid actually got his tree. He got in trouble because he had his tree stand right behind the College of Engineering, and it
mhm,
was right next to a freeway. I was like, don't get me wrong, I've seen like 10 like giant 10-point bucks,
mhm.
12-point bucks just walking roam in the middle of campus, and every time I'd see him, I said, "You lucky son of a bitch!" You just want to punch him in the face. And I was like, I don't blame the guy for doing it because it's like I've seen giants out there, but you
Mhm,
can't do it at the same time.
mhm. There's some nice urban bucks. We'll just say that.
Yeah, no, I'm really jealous. I think urban hunting. I think I need to start doing that a little bit more if
I
I can find
mean,
a place.
the way I'm doing it is, I'm filling those doe tags and, that's my fill the freezer, right? Fill the
Yeah,
freezer with the does and then have my statewide for, being selective with a buck and um, then obviously you get the urban buck. So essentially, even if you're a landowner and you get that landowner tag, you can really be just bringing all kinds of bucks that season with that urban tag. So
huh?
you get your archery, any sex tag, and then you can get one of the rifle seasons, any sex. And then if you own land, you could get a land any sex.
Wow.
And then obviously, if you urban hunt and get that, it's another one.
So I know if you're a non-resident in Iowa, you gotta get points. I
Yep.
know that. If you're a resident there,
You
how's
just
that
go
work?
buy it.
You can just go buy it.
Yep.
Well, I guess I should have known that, but I just didn't know like if like you needed like some type of point system
Nope.
whenever you're
Nope, not
resident.
as a resident.
That's not bad.
And they've started closing some of the loopholes and stuff too. So there was a loophole. So shotgun season, you can party hunt. So say, I have an antlered tag, you have a doe tag, you show up, we hunt together, you fill my antlered tag, they started kind of closing those loopholes where people couldn't do that anymore because it
Yeah.
was being taken advantage of. And then also I recently saw something about trail cameras on public. So you can use trail cameras on public, but and this was a big gray area. It's kind of interpreted however your game warden in the area does it. But I've been seeing a lot of you can't leave trail cameras out overnight. Uh, and then I've
What?
also seen you can't leave trail cameras out overnight out of season. So don't know. Depends on the game warden, I guess, and interpretation. I've seen them interpret it both ways, but that's the big, hot topic in Iowa right now is trail cams on public.
I get the party thing to be nixed because when we were covering Minnesota last week, they have party hunting. I think that's just the worst thing possible to do in
I've
hunting.
heard there's like no population left in Minnesota after the wolves have moved in.
Yeah, that's what they were saying. It's just atrocious. They're
Mhm,
basically restarting everything because of that.
mhm.
And for the trail cameras, so what's the fucking point of putting a trail camera out there if you can't leave it overnight? You're trying to get information. That's what you're doing. So you just, all right, I'm gonna go out there in the morning, and right before sunfall, I'm gonna make sure to go
Yeah, I'm
grab.
gonna go blow up the spot and put this camera in real quick.
Exactly. What are you supposed? You put it out there
Because
for a
you
day.
can't look at the camera while you're hunting. Like you can't have it sending you photos live while you're hunting. Like that's always been a thing. Because it's just like you can't have a walkie-talkie with your buddy saying like, "Hey, big buck coming down the trail, get it, buddy." Like,
Right.
you know.
What?
So I don't know. Maybe we'll see more because I think the actual publication comes out July, I want to say. So I guess we'll keep our eyes peeled on whatever officially goes into it and happens. But that's been kind of the drama here in Iowa.
So right now it's a gray area, but it's up to interpretation of how the
Yeah.
game warden work in that
Yeah,
county.
which sucks.
Well, that's
Like,
just
make
that's
it black and white. Make it black and white.
as
Because maybe this game warden is cool with it today, but what if he's pissed off tomorrow? You know, like
exactly. Or then all of a sudden you, in one county you're doing this, and you move to the next county, you got some old
you
fuck
cross the
doing it.
county line and have a different guy that says, "Nope, give me your stuff." That's my
That
vote now.
is, man. But it seems like Iowa's not like the only state kind of trying to get. Now, is that cell
Yeah.
cameras or is it trail cameras in general?
I think it's cell cameras, but don't quote me.
Okay.
It
But
might. It actually might be cameras in general. I think it because there's mention that tree stands outside of season can't be left up.
Okay.
So I would assume it's all cameras, but
But
again,
it
don't
seems,
quote me because it's gray area.
it seems like though that trail cameras seem to be like this big outside of the crossbows and hunting season with them. That's, we all understand that's the biggest topic right now. But behind that is trail cameras of when to use them, when not to use them, what states are going to allow them, what states are going to, and when you can't. And
they won't and can't do anything on private ground here. Like,
yeah,
they're just talking about the public land.
okay. The Squatch here made. Sorry, Squatch. I'm just gonna start calling you the Squatch now. So
yeah, that's a mouthful to name out.
I know, but he's a Squatch. He's in New York, so he reached out. I can't wait to get him on the show when we cover New York. But outdoors and more with the Squatch. The Squatch made a comment here. Man, I run a cell cams year round. That's a bummer. You can't there. Yeah, that to me, it just sucks because, like I said, if you can't leave it overnight, you're gonna go out there in the morning,
No point.
put it up, and then come back later and do it. So it's like I'm not gonna
Blowing up the spot
day after day after day.
Yeah. With that being said, though, I have thought about this season running no cams at all because
Really?
as you know, it kind of happens when you start gaining traction and, you know, success. I'm not saying I'm successful with this yet, but the channel's grown rapidly in the year that it's been going. But there's been some of that negative, you know, oh, he doesn't know what he's doing. So I've thought about, just to prove a point, running no cams this year, going just natural and pulling it together again. So that thought's there. We'll see what I decide on, but
wait, why would be the reason not to do it? Not put up cell cameras?
Oh, just the people out there saying, you know, like, you only do this type of stuff because you have cameras, or like cameras are cheating, or you don't know how to hunt. You're just depending on your cameras or stuff like that.
Fuck them.
I don't truly care, but I thought about doing that just as a challenge. It's just like a, you know.
Oh no, that actually sounds like a fun challenge to do. I might want to do that at some point.
Like, I know the patterning of the deer where I hunt. Like,
yeah,
it's not going to make a damn bit of difference. Like, it might change the deer that I harvest, maybe, but I know what's out there.
I think it's episode 2 where I had Steve on the show when we were talking about trail cameras, and he broke it down in a great way where you have cameras where you use as inventory cameras and use the other ones as more like a scouting one. I was like, oh man, that's brilliant. So what I started doing after talking with him was I started putting cameras on like main trails just to see what's just cycling through. And then I started putting like cell cameras and these other SD cameras and like these deep pockets of where I don't really want to get into and really see what's really being moved through there. I might see shit. I might see a bunch of stuff. And that's how I generally run my cameras now since then. And I don't see how cell cameras are cheating. You're just basically overall, you're getting an inventory of what's on your property, and you're getting an idea of, all right, this was kind of moving through. I can kind of be, if you want to use the term, pick and choose.
Yep.
But you can, what's out there. So it's like, all right.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm not going in blinded.
I personally like running a camera on, my mineral site or like a rope scrape.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I think generally that with my cameras, I have about, let's see, 8-ish. And with them, I generally put them, I have one right next to my my tree stand, and I kid you not, man, when I pulled the camera, 2 years ago now, my wife named this deer Geronimo. He was literally right next to my tree stand. And I just wanted to start crying. I was like, and it was on September 1st. I was like, you gotta be kidding me, man. Why can't that be October 1st?
Yep. I had a similar, October 1st is our start too. And I had this just monster that was hanging out throughout the summer. And, I would post on Instagram, and I like doing these polls and just interactive stuff. Like, I love my fans, audience, whatever. Like, I love including them with everything and let them name him. So his name is Stud Muffin. And
nice.
Yeah. So he's just this giant, like, textbook typical 10-point. Like, he's a big boy. And he was just there day after day after day during the summer. And I had him on cam right before season began, and I think like night before season even. So I went out opening day because I'm like, I'm excited from all that work that I mentioned that I'd done, on the plot and everything. And a lot of people weren't even hunting opening day in Iowa because it was 90 some degrees, which is just abnormal for October 1st. And I go out there, I saw, I think, a doe or two in the morning. One came right under my stand and was just hanging out, went onto the plot, was grazing. So it was cool seeing the plot used. But, evening came around and that plot lit the hell up, man. I had like 10 does out there under me eating. And then I had a few small bucks. And then I had a good buck that I ended up harvesting. But, right around that time was the last time I seen, Stud Muffin on cam, which, like I said, I'm not running them now. So I don't know if he's back, because, you will have some roamers that, summertime they'll be around and then they'll move on. So fingers crossed that's what happened. And, EHD or someone else didn't get him. Hopefully, if he's gone, someone else got him. But yeah, he was amazing. And the one that I harvested was like a mini hem. He was like 142 and 4/8, I think is what he scored. So still, a decent or good deer for a lot of places. Iowa being a little harder on myself got me super excited. He kept throwing angles that made him look just like that, like the big one. And then I'm like teetering back and forth in my head, like, do I do it? And I'm like, Daniel, you're stupid. He has you excited. Just do it. Just do it. And then, I went to draw. I got busted by the does because, like I said, there were like 10 does in the plot. If you go to my channel, it's the first video, the first long form video, and bunch of does out there. She blows. They all run off, including him. And then I'm like, well, shit, here we go. And then he stood at the entrance of the plot for like 10, 15 minutes and then comes out right before last light and gives me another opportunity. And 30 yards right through the heart. He went like 20 yards, done. And opening day.
I'm not. So I have a monitor right here. So if anyone ever watching, I'm looking at my monitor here, and I'm being kind of a creep, if you want to call it that. I'm looking at this deer, and it was the one you posted 36 weeks ago, whatever, October 1st.
The picture that you used for this.
Yeah. That's a freaking beautiful deer, man.
He's a beautiful typical.
How old was he, do you think?
I would guess at least 3.5 or 4 if I were guessing. You know, I'm not saying I'm great at that, but he was maturing.
I don't even think I'd second guess. I'd shoot that. Even in
Yeah.
if anyone is to like, well, why'd you shoot that deer and you're from Iowa? That's a beautiful deer no matter what state you're from.
Oh, yeah.
That's just amazing. Especially if you're looking at like his brow tines, his left one, and it's like, well, both of them.
His brows are huge.
They just look cool.
That's how my farm is, man. My farm has just giant brow tines. Let me see. I'm gonna send you a picture of Stud Muffin really quick. I'm gonna text you. I know the crowd won't see this, but
I know that I love seeing the brow tines the most. If anyone out there is watching, let us know your comments on brow tines. But honestly, that's my favorite thing on an antler. Is
I'm sending a better picture of his rack when he's harvested, and then also a picture of Stud Muffin days before, or I guess that was like a month before.
Let's see this bad boy.
But he's just like a perfect typical, like textbook typical.
Holy shit. I don't care about my life, but damn. Now I see what you're talking about. How if you said the way that he was like
yeah, like aren't their frames like really similar? He's just not as wide.
Yeah. I would take me a couple tries looking at this deer like that's okay. That's not him.
And if you watch the video, there's one specific angle where he turns his head like kind of like that way.
Yeah.
And he just looks super wide. And I'm just like, no.
That deer first Stud Muffin.
Yeah.
He looks like he's 100 years old. First off, I mean, that's just the beautiful. If you take away the rack on this deer, the body on it is just amazing outside of the rack. But looking at it, I had to do a double take. Is he like swimming in this watering hole?
Yeah, I put in a watering hole and he stepped down to get a drink, I guess. And then the camera got him.
It's hilarious.
But stuff like that, man, like that's so great for inventorying.
Exactly.
And like I will die on this hill, like mock scrapes. Amazing. So mock scrape, that's basically where I was going to get the shot opportunity before I blew it up the first time. And then he was pretty close to it the second time too. So I will, rough up the ground, make the mock scrape. I'll take rope, tie it to a branch, hang it down, throw some scent on it or whatever. And it's great for inventorying. And then when you're hunting, they'll stop and they'll rub on it and there's your shot opportunity.
Now so my hunting background, I've never had the ability because I've hunted on a neighbor's property. I've been doing it for 18 years. It's the only place I've ever hunted. So I know at the back of my hand. I haven't had the ability to because the landowner was very strict of no land management stuff. I do this. So all right, I get that. Finally, this is the first year that we were able to finally put in some of a food plot and do some extra stuff. But I personally, I like to say, I say it time and time again, I like wit versus wit. And I've been hearing a lot of people, they've been talking about, I was talking to the guys from the Fall podcast, and Riley was like, he's dead set on mock scrapes. I've just never really, I've seen it happen, but to me, without doing a little more research with it and talking to people that have success with it, I could tell you, oh, mock scrapes, those are just probably stupid. I've never, whatever. But you're having a lot of success with it then.
I promise you, it's like one of the easiest things to possibly do to make yourself. And I would probably say 85 to 90% of my pictures came from them last season.
And it seems like though with mock scrapes, like I've seen a lot of products come out where it's like, all right, spend $50 and you get these fake plastic hoof prints and you can dig it into the ground. Why am I going to spend $50 or whatever on that when I can just take a tree branch and just scruff it up and use my boot or whatever?
I took a little hoe or rake and just scraped up the ground. And then I zip tied a rope from a branch. And then I had went to Raised Hunting. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're from Iowa. I went to their annual like get together, whatever, and I'm winning some of their scent stuff. So I'd used it that time. But honestly, you can just take a pee in the mock scrape and kick it off. And like, I'm not saying you can just randomly go walk into the yard and make a mock scrape and a deer's magically going to show up. Like, obviously, scout, have an idea of what trails they use, and you can throw it up, in their travel corridor, and they'll start using it.
Are you generally doing the mock scrape in the timber, or are you kind of doing it more in the?
I did one in my food plot.
On the food plot?
I did one, like, kind of the edge of my food plot, and then my others have mainly been in like a travel trail corridor.
What have you seen that you've had most success or getting like the most inventory photos? Where have you been seeing the most out of those?
I mean, a mixture of both, honestly. I don't know which one technically would be more because they're both super active, but obviously Old Trusty is a mineral site. Like, they're gonna show up there repeatedly. And then, I mean, these mock scrapes, dude, they're wonderful. Like, for the little effort you actually put into making it, the reward is ridiculous. And it can go more drastic than what I said, like the rope hanging. Some people will literally get trees and like put them in the ground, and which I did is like I didn't put a tree in the ground. There is one like a more of a sapling that's grown that I made into a mock scrape area that they used. But some of these guys will bury branches and make these sites, and like Raised Hunting, for instance, like if you look at their stuff, they'll literally go bury tree branches and build these sites, and they'll use them as shot opportunities. Because if you think, like, you see these natural scrapes, these deer are just traveling down these highways or corridors, and they communicate with each other through these scrapes and rubs. So it's not just I'm going to stop and do this just because I'm bored or something. Like, they're communicating with each other. So they actively use this in their daily routine. So it gets you shot opportunities, it gets you inventory pictures, so on.
So real quick, you're allowed to use minerals and baits?
We can't bait in Iowa. So mineral sites, I believe it's like 200 yards away. Like, you have to be from hunting. It's another gray area thing of, so I think they said 200 yards away it needs to be. And then if it's like on the same trail you're on, I've heard rumors that can be interpreted wrong. I don't know. But technically, just remove your mineral site out of season. So a lot of people will take like 50-gallon barrels, cut it in half, and make kind of a trough and put minerals in it. Some people do that. Some people put it on the ground and just dig it up, so on. I guess reach out to your local game warden and see how they interpret it.
The reason I asked that, because it sounds like, so are you using some of the minerals on that mock scrape, or are you just doing
no minerals in the mock scrape?
Okay.
The mock scrape is literally just a mock scrape. It has the rope hanging, and you can pee in the scrape on the ground or use scent or whatever to get it started, and then they use it and rub their scents, and then it spirals.
Huh. Well, I'm not gonna go peeing out the woods. I want to go to my private bathroom and pee in there. So
okay, first world problems over here.
Exactly. I mean, come on, man. I'm not a caveman. Just kidding. No, I think because I know a lot of places on my property where it'd be very interesting to see if I was to try a mock scrape and see how that would be to turn out. Because I know, especially in one place on my property, it's a huge place where I say huge, but it's a huge travel corridor from bedding, and it's down in a valley, and then leads back up into pines, and they can kind of spread out outside of that. and there's like this one like birch tree. I think no, not birch. Crap. Is it birch tree? Anyways, I can't remember. It starts with a B, but it's just torn to shreds. And I've seen a lot of deer moving through there, but I'd love to see what it'd be like. You know what? What if I put a mock scrape to see what more activity I can get?
I challenge you to try it. Honestly, it's pretty easy to throw in. Now, don't get disheartened if it doesn't immediately start kicking off, because it really depends on how skittish, I guess, the deer are in your area. They'll get used to it and then they'll start using it. But
well, if I don't see a photo in the first like 3 photos, I'm gonna start texting you like, Daniel, I'm crying, man.
That's
you
fine.
said it's gonna fucking work, but it's not.
I can hook you up with my complaint department.
Well, I know one. I guess there's another question I want to ask now is one thing that I'm going to be trying to do differently this year, and it's completely out in left field, is I'm going to be taking one of my hunting shirts that has my natural, what I've been washing with it, stuff like that, and hanging up in my tree stand. And then on top of that, I'm going to put like a scarecrow type figure up there. My mentality behind that is because, you know what? Because living here in a neighborhood, I've seen deer just walk 20 yards from my backyard and they don't get scared of me at all.
They don't care.
I feel like you can train deer like cattle where it's like they're less skittish, especially here in Michigan. Deer here, a 2-year-old is going to act like a 6-year-old because they're just constant pressure and everything that's going against them. I'm sure in Iowa, though, a 2-year-old is going to act like a fucking 2-year-old. And so
I've heard people hang milk jugs and stuff from their tree stands and stuff just so they get used to movement and all that. I haven't messed with it, but I've heard of it.
Milk jugs?
Yeah, just like, I mean, doesn't specifically have to be that, just an object that'll, dangle and swing.
Huh.
Well, I don't know. I haven't tried it, but I've heard about it. I've heard all those different wise tales and stuff.
I say it because that's something I'm going to be doing differently, because I'm always trying to get out of my comfort zone and really try something different each year. What are you possibly going to be doing differently this year? Try something out of the norm for you, or have you not really kind of thought that out? I mean, we talked about trail cameras, but is there something that you've kind of like been wanting to do?
I'm always thinking of fun things to do to punish myself. So thinking about picking up, a traditional bow, like a stick bow, thinking about hunting with one of those, at least urban season or something this year. I've thought about doing the old blue jeans and flannel challenge, because, you always hear, oh, my grandpa shot big deer with nothing but blue jeans and a flannel, whatever. And then, you have the Sitka guys and all that. So I've thought about doing that challenge. Obviously the trail camera challenge potentially. And I'm going to start doing more spot and stock stuff since I have a camera guy now.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I'll go ahead and cut you off.
I'm doing a first time thing for myself this year. I got drawn for muley deer in South Dakota, or I guess any deer, but I'm going after a muley in South Dakota this year.
Oh, wow. You have to let us know how that turns out. I'm sure you're going to be recording
some pictures. Yeah, of course.
I hated hearing stories from my dad growing up as a kid, where he'd tell me stories where he kept hearing, this guy named Bill, he went out hunting and all he went out was in blue jeans and a red flannel with a freaking smoke in his hand. And the next thing I know, he's like, all right, I'm going to sit next to this log and see what comes out. And he shoots a 12-pointer.
Yep.
And I'm going 2 years and I don't see shit. And then he goes and does that.
Yeah, I've thought about it this year.
I'm thinking about doing it.
I think it would be funny content. Like, anyone that's followed my channel knows I post a lot of memes and fun stuff because I want to make hunting fun again. Like, it's so competitive and just commercialized and all that, like, let's have fun again.
Exactly. And I think
I want to bring new hunters in.
Yeah. I think we make hunting, I've been saying this before, even before the podcast, we make hunting like this big scientific technical bullshit. Like, we got all these apps and it's like you got all this weather data and stuff like that. And
the moon.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Don't even get me started with this moon phase bullshit, because I can't stand that red moon crap. But like I said, someone said analysis paralysis a couple weeks ago, and I freaking love that. I never heard of it before. But like I said, we make this too scientific, we make too technical. And I use this example of, I remember using this one hunting app a couple years ago. It said I had a 95% chance of seeing a deer. So what I do? I went out and I didn't see shit. It said I have a 3% 2 days later. All right, I'm not going to go hunting. What happens? Phone's blowing up with deer in front of my fucking tree stand. Just
Deer
trust
are going to be deer. They're going to survive every day, regardless of it. Like, I'm not saying their patterns won't shift or they won't do different things, but they're not like going to their summer home for the night, like they're
right.
going to be in the woods.
And don't get me wrong, everyone's like, oh, you gotta hunt the wind. It's like the biggest thing. You gotta make sure you hunt the wind, hunt the wind. Okay, I get that. You got west wind. Okay, I'm not disagreeing with that, but at the same time, don't just not go out hunting because it's not the correct wind. Deer are gonna freaking move where they want, man. I swear. One day I went out hunting. It's like, all right, I have a northwest wind. All right, perfect. That's where we're gonna be coming from. Nothing coming from the east of me. Perfect, great. What the heck happens? 3 days in a freaking row, man. I hear this freaking buck, whatever. I couldn't tell. He kept doing. It's like, how? He can't even smell me. The next thing you know, he's popping out in a different direction, coming out in a different direction. Like, I didn't expect you to come from there. And the reason I say is because deer are gonna come. You never know. They're wild animals. They're not gonna. You can't predict anything.
I beat that point into the ground where you can do as much patterning and thinking the animal like as much as possible, but in the end they have free will. They can make a different choice that day.
Yeah. And who was it that said this? I think it was Josh that said it when we were covering Delaware. Anyways, he said it's great seeing all these hunting apps and they're like giving you these all like percentages and stuff like that. That's great and all, but it doesn't account for what your neighbor's doing or what's happening around you basically in the area. So it's like, exactly, you don't know. Someone can be out there riding a dirt bike and scare a deer from their property and run it onto your property.
Time in the woods above all.
Huh?
Time in the woods above all.
Exactly. Just get out in the woods.
Boots on the ground. Yep.
Exactly. That's a good question. I was really wanting to ask you out there in Iowa. So you get snow in Iowa, right?
Oh yeah.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I didn't know.
We've had some more mild winters than normal, but we usually get hammered a couple times a year at least. But yeah, we get snow. I was out while it was snowing this last season.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
I remember Christmas here last year. It was muddy in like 75. And I have friends out there walking the golf course.
It's been weird.
What are you doing in the off season to help your scouting and learn the area? Because I know here in Michigan, I do a lot of winter scouting, trying to see what's moving through, and I use the snow a lot. Are you doing anything similar out there in Iowa or something different?
So my off season, during the spring, I'll turkey hunt. I'm not a good turkey hunter. I just started like last season, but I'll turkey hunt, and then while I'm out turkey hunting, I'll be looking for deer signs and deer movement like crazy. So basically anytime I'm in the woods, I'm eyeing, trails and like signs and all that. So I'll shed hunt. While I'm shed hunting, I'm obviously looking, taking mental notes like, oh, here's some bedding, here's some like beat down trails. Mushroom hunting, same thing. Turkey season, same thing. And then I'll get out some during summer and actually boots on the ground scout and walk the farm or public hunting wherever. And you can e-scouting is amazing, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't replace boots on the ground. So there's just something different with getting on the ground yourself, seeing it, and just kind of building that, I guess, mental notes or documenting it, however you learn best, I guess. So I'll use, Spartan Forge, Hunt Stand, whatever app, and I'll be out there boots on the ground. I'll put pins where, I'm seeing bedding or different signs and just really trying to gather the big picture and put the puzzle pieces together. As I mentioned, I'm a systems engineer, so I have a very analytical mindset. So I'm always problem solving. So I try to kind of bring that to the woods too, I guess.
Yeah, I think you can kind of just beat e-scouting this thing to death. And it's great getting like a quick mental idea of what's kind of going on from a bird's eye view. And I think a lot of people have been saying now it's like, well, boots on the ground. And I'm not saying that, but it's the true thing though. Like it's nothing new. We're not just saying something random. Like we're only saying it because these hunting ads have come out, and I'm not saying they're bad. They're great tools to have. It's another resource.
Yeah.
But we can't get away from boots on the ground.
Yeah. The way I look at hunting, there's no one tool does all. It's like I have a toolbox, and these all are pieces that bring it all together. So e-scouting's great, especially South Dakota. That's a little ways away from me. So I'm going to e-scout the hell out of it. And then I'm going to get boots on the ground and so on. Like use your different resources you have available. That's like the mock scrapes I told you earlier. Like that's a tool in the toolbox. That isn't the end all be all, but it pairs well, with your cameras, your other scouting, because you're going to get boots on the ground. You're going to see where the trails are and the travel corridors. Then you're going to put this in and your camera, and then you're going to gather intel and pattern and so on, like it all comes together. There's no one tool fits all.
No, I call it my tactical toolbox. What can I dig out of there to help me be successful? Well, Daniel, I know we're getting close to the end of the show here. Before I do my general last questions of the stuff I'm going to ask for tonight, I'm going to take something you do on your intro. What are you going to tell? What type of advice are you going to give first-time hunters?
Perfect. So
I'm sure you ask a lot of that and you don't get that question back at you, so I thought I'd throw it your way.
Yeah. So honestly, my biggest piece of advice is get in it for you. Don't get in it for social media. So what I mean by that is you are your only competition. You're going to go out there on YouTube, social media. You're going to see all these big buck pictures. You're going to see, these perfect world clips, so on. But that's not how it works. You need to compete with yourself and set your own standards. And then, if that's getting a spike buck, who cares? If it gets you excited and you take the shot, you harvest it, hell yeah, like fist bump, let's go. But I don't want to see you posting in the Facebook group saying, this isn't the biggest, but like, dude, I had you happy. I didn't buy your tag. He didn't buy your tag. You buy your tag. Do what makes you happy. As long as you're legal, who cares? Legal, ethical. I'm going to throw ethical in too, but do it for you. And you can increase your goals over the years, I mean, if you want to start out with a high goal, go for it, but be prepared for disappointment.
Right. I think I'm just going to leave that comment. I'll say that at a different time, but prepare yourself mentally for those down times so it doesn't break you. So that way you can
learn something every time you're in the woods.
Exactly. So with my general outros type stuff that I like to ask, is there a story or a topic that you didn't get to share, we didn't get to talk about tonight before we let you go for the night? And Brian sent a comment in here. He said, yo, Brian, I hope you're having a good night, my man.
How's it going, Brian? I don't think I have a topic in particular. I mean, if there's anything else you want to ask for a quick story, go for it.
I'm kind of curious. How did you come up with the name Veganless? I mean, but like, obviously, like you see a lot of these hunting pages and channels, stuff like that, like you and I have. I'm always curious, like, how'd you come up with that name? I've always wanted to know that. So now I got someone new. How'd you come up with yours? So
obviously, I guess it's not obvious. A lot of you probably have not seen Veganless, but I do a lot of funny or meme content just lighthearted stuff because want to make hunting fun again, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, and bring new hunters in and stuff, show that it's not all, high point, perfect world success. And I wanted a name that was catchy. And man, I went back and forth all over the board on this. Every good name you think of is taken. And I was mind blown that no one had veganless. And my thought behind this brand and the channel was anti-hunters are absolutely going to hate the name. Like they are mad about it. People that hunt think it's hilarious and like they love the name. But either way, both of them are talking about it. So I think a lot of the growth literally is in the name.
I think
Like
that's
obviously being consistent is huge. Like if you're creating content, you need to be consistent, doing reels, shorts, all of that stuff. But I mean, a good name helps a bit too.
Yeah. I remember when I was scrolling through and I saw veganless online. I was like, oh, let's check this out. And bam, veganless. I'm like, that's a cool fucking name, man. I'm not gonna lie. I love it.
Yeah, it rolled well off the tongue, and I thought it was super brandable for merch when I start throwing merch in. I'm not rushing to merch because I'm just building a connection with the audience and everything first, But
Yeah.
we have some merch, obviously, but we have arrow wraps, we have merch, hats, so on.
Oh wow. Yeah, man. I think that's a great name. I know I was going back and forth with a bunch of different names. Like I had a whole
So hard, man.
spreadsheet of like
Yeah.
different names. The next thing I'm like, all right, this is what I want to possibly name it. And I start going through it, taking.
Mhm.
Available.
Everything from reading the dictionary, thesaurus, to chat GPT, to just random names. Like
Right.
people don't understand how hard it is.
It's man, podcasting, it's a lot of work too, man. And
It
just
is.
trying to figure out the name though. It's like you
Mhm.
said, you want something catchy and rolls off the
And
tongue
then
well.
podcasting, trying to find guests consistently and then working with their schedules because a lot of them will have something pop up or
Yeah, that's another big thing is to make sure everyone's lined up. So that's a problem I've been noticing myself, but I like to I'm with my background, attention to detail type of guy, so planning things out weeks in advance, that's something I just gotta do because then I can start preparing. So that way, I look at it like this. I like to put out as many small fires as I can in case a big fire pops up down the road.
Yep.
That's just how I am.
Absolutely.
Well, Daniel, I just want to say thank you again for coming on the show. Thanks for sharing your little background about yourself, man. I loved it. And for anyone that wants to reach out to you, how can they do that?
So it is veganless on most platforms. I think Instagram, it's veganless TV. We're on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, have a Facebook group. Veganless.tv is the website. We have our weekly podcast that's live streamed, just similar format to this. It's on Wednesday nights. Yeah, that's a quick rundown, I guess.
I know I saw that you do live once and I was like, crap, he does them on a different day, or I couldn't remember. So when I text you saying,
Wednesdays.
want to come on a show on Tuesday?
Yep, Wednesdays at 6:30 Central.
6:30 Central. I try and chime in when I can on those days.
Yeah, yep, I've seen you pop in.
Yeah, I've definitely been doing it some more.
Yeah, it's always encouraged for you guys to pop into these type of things and talk with the podcast and creators. Like we live for your guys' comments and stuff.
I think it's a lot more fun doing these live shows because you get to interact with everyone and get their feedback while you're actually doing the show.
My biggest thing is my brand in general is just interacting with the audience. Like I guarantee you message me or you comment and stuff, like I'm going to respond.
Yeah. And you do your live shows. How can they watch your live shows when you're doing it? Because I know you do it on Instagram.
YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, Kick. I think that's all the platforms it goes out to. And then afterwards it goes into, the audio world of podcasts like Apple Music, Spotify, Google Podcasts, so on.
Oh, I know. I generally been watching mainly on the Instagram when I saw you pop up there.
Yep. It'll go into Spotify and all that stuff afterwards.
Okay.
An audio format, obviously.
Well, Daniel, I just want to say thank you again, brother, for coming on and taking time out of your day. I really appreciate it, man. Definitely going to be staying in touch with you, my man. And
Yep.
I hope you have a great rest of your night, brother.
DMs are always open. Feel free to reach out. I'll toss you some info on my camera setup and all that too.
Oh, yeah, man.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, brother. I'll text you later, man.
Yep. Peace out.
See ya. Oh, man. What a great guy. Funny guy, man. I like I said, I've watched a couple of his live streams. It's hard for me kind of to do every one of them because I have my own stuff going on in my own life with my family and stuff. But check him out when he's doing his live shows. Like he said, we love doing live shows. We get a chance to interact with everyone out there, and you guys pop up questions, so it's nice to see those as well. You might think of a question that I might not even think of, and I just want to say thank you, everyone that has tuned into the shows in the past, been supportive of the show. I can't say thank you enough. And with that being said, we have some news that we just got this morning, like some pretty big news, if you want to call it that. And we should be probably going to be announcing it on our show tomorrow night on Wednesday, the 12th of June. And so you really want to make sure you check into that. I know I'm 99% sure that we're going to be announcing it tomorrow on our tomorrow's show. And let's just say this. We couldn't get to the point of the contract that we're about to sign or agreement, whatever, without your guys' support. And I just can't say thank you enough for all the fans out there, everyone that interacts with the show. And like I said, I'm the type of guy, if anyone that ever wants to come on this show, I'm never going to tell you no. I'm going to make sure I find you time or figure something out to get you on the show. And my door is always open. You contact me. You're going to be talking. If you message anyone on Whitetail Advantage platform, you're going to be talking to me directly. I'm never going to say no to a guest, and I'm an open door type of guy. But with that being said, I can't say thank you enough. But that will conclude tonight's episode 79 episode of the Whitetail Advantage podcast. Make sure to go check us out at whitetailadvantage.com. And if you get to see the week that we're covering. And if it says ask the audience, that's us saying we don't have a guest officially lined up for that day. And you want to come on the show, send us a message that you want to come on for that day, and we'll get you on. Like I said, I'm never going to tell anybody no that wants to come on the show. And crap, I saw something and I just lost my track of thought. Squirrel. No, but make sure to go check us out at whitetailadvantage.com. Check us out on social media platforms. Go ahead and Waypoint TV. Check us out on their app. And make sure you use the code GP10. Get 10% discount at Gilly Puck Products. And go check out Magnus Broadheads, Media, Grizz Media. We're going to start working with them with marketing, photos, videos. We're going to be designing a whole new website with them. I'm extremely excited for this process that we're going to be starting with it. I don't know exactly when everything is going to be rebranded or relaunched, whatever, but it's going to be coming soon. And make sure you put that quarter in the slot machine, and we'll see you guys tomorrow on June 12th for episode 80. We're going to be 20 episodes away for episode 100. So we're excited about that. We don't know what we're going to want to do for episode 100. If you have an idea of what we want to do, let us know. But we'll see you all next time.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Whitetail Advantage Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we will see you next time.